going to be one of those meetings. I'd like to call the February 13th, 2023 Board of Commissioners work session to order. Tonight, we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance as always. And this evening, Beth Miller, one of our residents of Upper Gwynedd, will lead us.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Beth. Deanna, will you do the roll call?
Yes. Denise Holt, President.
Here.
Catherine Carter, Vice President, is absent. Liz McNaney, Commissioner.
Here.
Martha Similaro, Commissioner.
Here.
Ruth Damsker, Commissioner. Ruth Damsker is absent.
Yeah.
Sandra Zadell, Township Manager.
Hi, I'm here.
Megan Weaver, Assistant Township Manager.
Here.
Lauren Gallagher, Township Solicitor.
Here.
Isaac Kessler, Township Engineer.
Here.
David Duffy, Chief of Police.
Here.
Nathan Crittenden, Finance Director.
Here.
I didn't hear anything.
Nate's here, Deanna.
Okay, thank you. Van Reeker, Zoning Officer.
He's here also.
Here.
Okay, thank you. That's everybody.
Thank you, Deanna. Lauren, were there any executive sessions?
The board did meet in executive session earlier this evening to discuss matters of personnel.
Thank you, Lauren. Tonight, we have the Valley Forge Tourism Bureau here. We would like to welcome you, and please feel free to take the floor.
Thank you. And my presentation is all queued up. I appreciate that so much. My name is Samantha Cole. I won't take more than 5 minutes of your time. Thank you so much for having a representative of the tourism board here. Most people in this room may not even know that Montgomery County does have a tourism board. It's a little confusing too because our name is the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board, but we really represent all of Montgomery County. I'm gonna try this clicker, see if it works. Oh, very nice. And the reason that we have Valley Forge in our name, I know it is a little confusing. It is actually because there are 18 other Montgomery counties in the country. So we try and have that internationally recognized Valley Forge name within our brand to kind of differentiate ourselves from all of those other Montgomery counties. This is just our mission and our vision statement, and I will share this presentation with Deanna after, so anybody can access it. And I do have some cards up here for anybody that wants to grab them afterwards. These are just some marketing opportunities. They are completely free that we offer to local businesses. Anything that you see in here that you know, either a family member or a colleague or anybody that you're like, hey, they run a business or they work here at this restaurant, this might apply to them. Feel free to share any of this information to them. So we do offer a lot of PR efforts via news interviews, news segments, things like that. Social media marketing, I head up our social media department. Collectively, we have over 200,000 followers. So any events or anything like that that you're looking to plug, especially community events too, we're all about those. Digital marketing, co-op advertising with billboards too. And we do have an in-house creative department as well as our friendly mascot, Monty the Fox. He's been in hibernation during COVID, but he did just make an appearance for a Super Bowl pep rally that we had this week. So, so these are just some fun things that our marketing team works on a regular basis. We do have 4 digital and print publications that we work on each year. So one is our Arts Monco guide that really covers all of the arts and culture venues and things to do in Montgomery County. We also have an entire brand and initiative called Crave Monco, which puts a spotlight on the more than 1,800 different restaurants, breweries, wineries, and distilleries across Montgomery County. I'll get into a little bit of those in just a couple minutes. We do have a visitor's guide as well, and there are more than 50 golf courses here in Montgomery County, so we have a Monco golf guide as well. So I mentioned Crave Monco. This is what I was kind of saying earlier. If anybody knows anybody that works in a restaurant, owns a restaurant, frequents a restaurant. I think that's all of us. We do have a Crave Manco month. It's every July. Think of it like a restaurant week, but it's the entire month of July, where restaurants, breweries, wineries, distilleries can offer really any deal that they want. And we put a ton of marketing behind this. So radio, TV, digital, social, influencer marketing as well. And it's free for the restaurants to participate. So it's just a great marketing opportunity, especially in that summer month too, when a lot of people do go to the shore and they're looking for some additional support. And then we do, I'm excited the video worked. We do have a Arts Manco Week and a Manco Jazz Fest. Manco Jazz Fest was new for us last year, but this week it's really just an entire week to promote and support the different arts and culture venues across Montgomery County. So same thing, if you know anybody that is really involved in arts and culture scene in Montgomery County or in Upper Gwinnett specifically, feel free to let us know and send them our way. We're always looking for more venues to participate. And they can essentially offer any kind of act or show or anything like that, whatever, if they're a gallery, a comedy venue, anything like that, we can always make it work. So we're always looking for more participants. Our website sees over 1.3 million page views annually. And then we also send out email marketing. That's another great kind of free opportunity for any businesses in the area. We have over 11,000 subscribers that get our email. So we're always looking for fun things in the area to promote. I mentioned our social media accounts. So collectively, we have over 200,000 followers. We do generate millions of video views each year too. And we actually have a partnership with a local videographer, and we're always looking for different places, whether it's parks or restaurants or attractions or anything like that, even like farms or animal farms, just like a fun thing to do in the area. We're always looking to spotlight new places via video. So if you ever have any ideas, send them my way. You can follow us. We are at Visit Valley Forge on most of our accounts. And then these are just some upcoming events too. If you're looking to get involved with the tourism board or just to kind of see what we're about and what kind of events we put on, we always are, opening our events to the public and just anybody in the community, residents or visitors of the area. So again, I'll be sharing this with Deanna and she can share this with everybody here. And then my cards are up here if you have any questions for me too. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. Does anybody have any questions for her? No. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. And next on the agenda, we have 3 more presentations that will take place next week at our business meeting. Chief Duffy will be presenting some of our officers with commendations and recognizing Detective Pro for 15 years of service. We will have a Black History presentation from 2 officers from our state police, and we will have a water quality improvement plan presentation as well. So we look forward to all 3 of those. Next up, we have public comments. There was no one initially on the registry. Does anyone have a public comment this evening? Okay, then I am going to turn over the meeting to our manager, Sandra Zadell.
And I will call on Van Rieker to come give his report.
Thanks, everybody. I'm going to try to liven this up so we can get over that Super Bowl loss last night. Okay, so 1601, the first CHPs, if there are questions, you've heard of some of these before, but if there's a question, just stop me and we can go over it in detail. 1601, Valley Forge Road, that's the proposal for the new Wawa. You'll remember the issue at hand is the sale of gasoline and variances to permit a sign package that is different than is greater than is allowed under zoning. So that was, we've had 2 hearings already, and that was continued to a special hearing that Mark and the board agreed to for only the purpose of Wawa. That's March 1st. So that's a special hearing. It's not the normal meeting night. It's been advertised, and the entirety of that night will be for that Wawa application and the neighbors and anyone else who wishes to come out. Hopefully, we can complete testimony that evening. The board typically would run until about 10 o'clock, so that 3 hours we're hopeful will be sufficient to complete that application. The next two were, the next one was approved, 1237 Dickerson. That was the detached garage. That was heard back in January. That was approved. The next three are new, fairly minimal residential type applications. 817 Ridgeview is to permit a deck in the rear yard detached. It's a corner property at Gwynedd Ridge. It suffers from dimensional hardship. I think it's the kind of application that typically the zoning hearing board would view favorably. Questions on that one? That one's new. Next, 929 General Nash Drive. Interesting corner property. The prior owner had installed a shed in the front yard. It's concealed by a bunch of trees. So the reason we saw it is they had applied for a pool permit. And the survey, which accompanies the pool permit, documents all the existing features, including the shed. So when we see that sort of thing, we don't know that we go out looking for them necessarily, but when we see it, we always notify the applicant that they either need to remove the shed or find a safe place for it or ask for a variance. This applicant at 929 General Nash is asking for a variance to keep the shed where it's presently located. I would point out it's one of those corner properties with two front yards and very limited rear yard, and it is the type of application that is sometimes viewed favorably by the zoning hearing board. They'll all begin to present testimony. Next, now that's a new one. Next is 23-03. This is, you've heard us speak about this previously in the form of a subdivision. This is a proposed subdivision at 645 Sudleytown Pike. The reason they are attending the zoning hearing board, as you might remember, the current property, which is almost 2 acres, 1.8 acres, consists of 3 lots, 3 units, a single-family home, and then 2 attendant or accessory residential units, which we believe are legally non-conforming. 2 of them have sewer permits, and they're listed in the Board of Assessment. However, since they're proposing a subdivision and creating a new lot, a standard single-family lot along Barberry Road, the 3 units will need to be approved via a variance. They're not appealing my decision on that. So the applicant is coming in and asking for a variance to maintain the 3 existing units. So one is an existing single family that has an accessory rental unit in the big building. It's a big house. It's a big turn of the century Victorian house. And then there's a detached building that has the 3rd single family detached dwelling, none of which are related party. So they're not exempt from zoning. They need to ask for approval. The neighbors have been notified. That hearing will be held February 28th. We have 2 pending land developments. You've heard about these before. One is on Moyer Boulevard and West Point Pike, 10 twin homes. It's been winding its way through the township. It was reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission. They recommended approval, subject to compliance with a number of consultant letters and recommendations, which they've agreed to do, including the installation of a trail and additional lighting, landscaping, details relative to stormwater management, things like that. So they're working their way through the system, if you will, and perhaps in a month or so, there'll be, you may well see it as a final plan. And then finally, the subdivision, which we talked about briefly, goes to the zoning hearing board at 645 Sudleytown Pike. It will come to you for plan approval once a decision has been rendered by the zoning hearing board, so that you know what you're approving. You're either approving a lot with 3 units on it and a new lot or not. So Typically, what would happen is that you would not render a decision on that plan until it's been adjudicated or resolved by the zoning hearing board, and they are in for that. So are there questions? Thank you.
That's great, Van. Thank you. And Deanna, just for the minutes, I'm sure you can see that Catherine is here now, Catherine Carter, but she did arrive at 7:06. I will turn it over to you now, Isaac.
Thanks, Andrew. Attached is our report for our ongoing projects in the township and some of the grading plan and land development reviews. Two items I wanted to mention of projects currently underway this year. The road program for 2023 is currently out to bid. It's scheduled to have the bids opened this Thursday, the 16th. So we're looking forward. There's been quite a bit of interest from potential bidders. Looking forward to those numbers coming in, and we plan to have a recommendation at next month's meeting for this year's road program. Another project ongoing, the Haynes Run Stream Bank Improvements Project. One of the larger ones that has been worked on. There's already been a few things done around the treatment plant to improve flood mitigation. This project really takes a deeper look at the stream banks itself, which have eroded quite a bit over time, to not only improve the flow of the stream, but also per the DEP, a lot of elements of the water quality and also the flood mitigation. So we're pleased to say that we've submitted these plans to the PADEP. That was one of the major milestones. They work through that pretty methodically, but it is in their court, so to speak, at this point. And one of the next milestones that would be coming up in the next month or so, we'll coordinate with staff to kind of show the residents, especially in that area, what some of the design layout and the plans look like. So it's come quite a ways since the initial concept plans, and we're looking forward to sharing that with residents and getting some feedback for that as well. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No questions for Isaac? Okay, moving right along. The staff departmental reports, which is item number 13, will go into the consent agenda, as well as items 14 and 15 for the public meeting minutes. Item number 16 is the resolution to approve the volunteer tax credits. This is something we do each year for the past few years, which allows for our residents who are also volunteers at our local fire companies to receive a credit for that volunteer service that they provide. Are there any questions on that item?
Is this the same for last year where we had North Penn and,
Yes, this includes North Penn and Upper Gwynedd Fire Department, as well as the VMSC.
oh, VMS?
Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Nope, okay. Item number 17 can also go on to the consent agenda. This is an approval to appoint Sherry Chen to the EAC. Sherry was interviewed by the group that does interviews for this committee and is recommended for approval. Okay, number 18 is approval to spend $76,390 on the relocation of the township server network. This was budgeted for in our budget process, and as the board knows, our current server room has a fire suppression system that if it did go off, would cause a issue for our workers in the office because the server door has air vents, and this type of fire suppression system is a chemical fire suppression system. So it was determined we need to move the system over to the police side where we have all the police servers. We'll have all of our equipment in one area. It's just one of those things when you have a building that technology grows, your building stays the same. You just have to make these changes. Are there any questions about that agenda item? Okay, and I'll throw it back to you, President Hull, for item 19.
Great. Do we have a motion to appoint Susan Leonard to the North Wales Area Library Board as the Upper Gwynedd Township representative?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
I feel terrible making you speak in this meeting, but I have to send that to you.
I sound way worse than
Okay, good.
I feel.
So item number 20 would be under Commissioner Carter's section. This is the approval of, again, purchasing of 2 police vehicles. This was budgeted, but for any major expenditure, we take it to the board as well for individual action. They'll both be purchased through a CoStarz vendor, which means the bidding has already occurred. And the chief goes back and forth. So 1 year is a 2-car year, the next year is a 1-car year. So any questions? Okay. I have to throw it back to you, Commissioner Hall, President Hall, sorry.
Do we have a motion to approve the Haynes Run contract with Remington and Vernick Engineers in the amount of $180,000?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'd just like to make a little comment before we proceed. This is not an additional expenditure of $180,000. This is the entirety of what we spent over a few years and the remainder of what we plan to spend on the Haynes Run project, but we're just tightening it up by having a contract in place because it's required by the grant agency.
Right. We have, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Did you want to say anything about the next one, Sandra?
No. Megan might. Megan, do you have anything to say about that one?
No, I don't think there's anything to add other than this was a subdivision project that was approved multiple years ago. And as they're doing the work to be able to connect to sanitary sewer, just some things arose during that. One of it being, we'll need to accept dedication at some point of this. So they are replacing one of the sanitary sewer lines in order for us to be able to find it acceptable to accept dedication. And because it runs between 2 properties, we do need an access agreement. So that's what this would be for.
Great, thanks, Megan. Do we have a motion to approve the sanitary sewer easement agreement between Kevin J. Bradley and Margaret Bradley, 475 West Prospect Avenue in Upper Gwynedd Township?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, under item number 23 is approval of the Laurel House 5K race. This has been reviewed by our staff, and I think this would be good for the consent agenda. Are there any questions about this race? It occurs every year. Okay. We are also asking for authorization to advertise. That was so many A's in a row. The bid for equipment rental for various stormwater projects. This is again a yearly operations thing we do to help us with our larger storm sewer replacement projects. And this is the authorization to approve the advertisement of that bid. I think that's right for consideration in the consent agenda as well. Item 25 is the approval of Resolution 0620-23 or 2023 for construction of the Power Line Trail. This is, it's grant season, as Isaac knows, because we had a big meeting about it last week. So spring is when a lot of opportunities come before us, and this resolution would be for us to apply for the section of the Power Line Trail. Sorry, my computer's giving me trouble. There we go. That would enable us to widen our sidewalks that along Sumney or Parkside Place and Sumney Town Pike to make them an actual trail. So instead of a sidewalk, it would now be a multi-use trail, which means bikes can ride on it as well and connect back to the Wissahickon and Creek section of that trail connection. It's for the Montco 2040 implementation grant program. So that will be for decision next week. Are there any questions about those items? No, okay. Item number 26 is a change order for the liquid fuels program, and I'm going to turn this and the next item over to Isaac. Next few items.
Thanks, Andrew. For the 2022 road program, that has been completed. The work's been completed to close that out. So the change order number 3 is actually a negative change order. It reduces the final contract amount by another $26,132.50. And the change order describes some of the quantities and items that just weren't needed through the contract, with some base repair, scratch course, asphalt items. We have those in there kind of just in case for parts of the roadway that it's not completely known the conditions underneath. And hope, and as was the case with our 2022 program, we didn't need to use those quantities and we can reduce the overall contract at the end. So change order 3 reflects that. And it kind of moves into the final payment request, the payment number 4. And that would be the final payment to equate to the final contract value to James D. Morrissey. The final payment request is $16,631.61. And the project would then move into its maintenance period.
And that would be good for the consent agenda, that payment. Do you want to handle the next one, Isaac, since you're on a roll?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Another payment, this one in regard to the Dickerson Road Drainage Improvement Project to KBC Construction. This is their second payment request. This in the amount of $137,697.87. It also includes some paving work that they helped complete at the intersection of Allentown and Sumneytown. And the Dickerson Road Drainage Project, this pays for all the work completed to date. There is a meeting scheduled within the next week with some of the utility companies, PECO, Verizon, and Comcast, which are very tough to coordinate all at the same time. That's the final hurdle, if you will, for moving some of their lines to complete the final stretch of pipe to complete that project. So we're hopeful that the final push for that project would be within the next hopefully month or two, once the utilities are able to move their items.
Is this the project you wanted to comment on? Okay, okay. I know that you love that project. Okay, so moving along, items 29 and 30, both are good for the consent agenda. Finally, we're ready to issue the final payment for the WIP flow diversion pump stations and also a payment for the hydraulic expansion in the amount of $19,000. These are both related to follow-up work that has happened as part of the WIP project. And then so those are both consent agenda items. And the next item is item number 31. Just have to keep up with myself here. And this is for the WQIP, which is the Water Quality Improvement Project program, not sure, one of those, where we work with about 13 other municipalities and 4 other wastewater treatment plants to work with the DEP and EPA on satisfying proposed alternatives to the TMDL plan for the Wissahickon Creek. This intergovernmental agreement we've enacted several times in the past, and this would just be an extension to the current agreement. Did I miss anything, Megan? Okay, cool. And there will be a presentation from the WQIP group at our next meeting just to sort of give an update. Quite a lot of progress has happened over the past couple of years. A lot of great work by the people in that group. Megan represents us in that group. And I think it's a really great example of a collaborative effort for municipalities. Any questions? Okay. And then item number 32, I'm going to pass back to you, President Hull.
Great. Do we have a motion to authorize the advertisement of the sludge hauling bid for 2023 through 2025?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Just finish it out. You can just finish it out.
Thank you. So we just have the open invoice and the paid invoices for the next meeting like usual. Does anyone else on the board have anything else?
I just have a question. The new lights that we're getting, the new street lights and stuff, when is that starting and where is it going to start and how long? Just refresh our memories on how long that's going to
Sure, I'm actually going to send this right over to Megan. She's in charge of that project, and best with the knowledge about it.
So they're anticipating construction starting in March. We will get a more definitive timeline as to when they're starting, so we'll make sure that we have that in the Gazette and social media, the website. But we were told it should take about 13 working days, and that would be worst-case scenario. They are expecting it to be shorter, but once we have some more information as to where they're starting, we'll be sure to share that.
Thank you.
And I know you would expect me to end the meeting right now because I've been struggling this whole time, but I have one thing that I wanted to say before we adjourned, and that is I would like to publicly thank two of our staff members tonight, Christine DePeppo and Megan Weaver. They did a wonderful job compiling and preparing the work session agenda this month. Deanna, who usually does it, was on vacation, and Sandra was away on a conference for half the week. So while they got a lot of instructions before both of them left, there was no one there. They had to kind of have baptism by fire and get it done. And I really think they did a fantastic job. So I just wanted to do a shout out to them and say, thank you, ladies. And thank you all for putting up with me this evening. Meeting adjourned.